When I was growing up, people would always tell me that the job I would have had yet to be invented, that I would be the one to make it real. And that thought, to a small, lazy child, was terrifying, because I didn't know how to make a bowl of cereal, let alone my future form of employment. I was very overwhelmed. But it turns out that I didn't have a lot to worry about, because I would figure it out. Because, hello, I am Sabrina Cruz. I make education and comedy videos online once a week. I get paid to basically fly around the world to take selfies, and my job is YouTuber. Now, you've probably heard a lot about this job recently, this wonderful format where people get to make money uploading videos of themselves online. Gone are the days of firefighter and president. Kids nowadays, kids want to be YouTubers. And adults seem to want to be YouTubers as well, because when I was at the dentist the other day, and she learned what I did, she asked me the exact same 2 questions I always get. So, how much money do you make doing YouTube? And wouldn't I just be like so good at YouTube? Of course, I was at the dentist, so my answer was, uh-huh. But here is my answer to her and to anybody else wondering the exact same question on how to make YouTube your job. But first, a matter of notation. Because YouTubers do not exist anymore. There are too many social media platforms out there, and if you're doing one, then you're doing them all. So when I say YouTuber, what I really mean is creator. Because I know it sounds pompous, I know it sounds vague, but when your entire job goes everything from writing to production to editing and marketing, what you're doing is creating. Nothing more, nothing less. So going back to the big question, how do creators get paid? It's a big one. But there are 3 main ways. 1, merchandising. You see, you could do the traditional famous person route. You can make merch, albums, books, or go on tour. And a single purchase can range anything from $30 to $300, so you stand the chance to make a lot of money this way, as long as someone is willing to pay for it. A lot of someone's, in fact. And unfortunately, we can't all be Kim Kardashian or Zoella, so you can't go on tour if nobody wants to see you, unfortunately. So do you have to be a superstar to make YouTube your job? Well, look at me, okay? Of my small audience, less than 10% are Canadian, less than 50% are around your age. Statistically speaking, you didn't know who I was before I got on stage. I am not famous, science says so. So how am I doing it? Well, it's because there are other methods, like subscriber support. Whether it's websites like Patreon or Indiegogo that allow viewers to pledge money to creators for projects or future videos, this is the most direct interaction and exchange of money between the two. And more than the money, though, I think the value is in the fact that it speaks to how you are valued as a creator. You see, these people are paying for stuff that they would have seen for free. You don't really pay to view tweets. But they're paying because they love what you do, and they want to make sure that they can keep on seeing it. On the other end of the spectrum, they're selling out. I mean, advertising. Because no matter what you may have heard, YouTube has the most stable monetization method. The way it works is that companies pay YouTube money to put advertisements in front of videos. Now, YouTube takes 55% of this and gives the remaining 45% to whoever uploaded the video that hosts the ad in the first place. Sounds like a sweet gig, except not really. I mean, you may have heard of the adpocalypse, which was this dramatically titled incident in which a bunch of companies pulled advertisements off of YouTube for various reasons. But you may not have noticed that, because you may not watch ads, because you may have ad blocker. Yes. So 1 view is really worth about 1/1000th of a dollar on average. So creators needed to get creative and find an alternative, because we all want money. What we ended up on was that creators would work directly with companies to create specially branded content. And so then we cut out YouTube as the middleman, take back that 55%, and become social media influencers. This fancy new industry that is worth $1 billion, apparently. It also has the worst job title in the world, influencer, influence. Nothing good ever happens with that word, like, sorry, officer, driving under the influence. You see, I was speeding because I was promoting a fit tea on Instagram. But to be entirely transparent, this is what I do. These are two very branded photos on my Instagram right now. And I do it because it helps pay tuition. And that's the dream, isn't it? Paying for bills by just flying around the world or talking about free stuff. This was unimaginable a few years ago. So how did it happen so suddenly? Well, the truth is that this industry wasn't sudden. It just grew in secret because media clung to this image of vintage YouTube. You know what I'm talking about. Back when YouTube was about cute animals and being at the zoo. Back when YouTube looked like this. God. YouTube wasn't the place for Hollywood's million-dollar productions. YouTube was the place for normal people. So back then, if you were a normal person and you wanted to write something, you got a blog. If you were a normal person and you wanted to make music, you got MySpace. And if you were a normal person as of 2005 and you wanted to make video, you got YouTube. For the first time ever, publishing of all forms was in the hands of the normal people. The age of democratized publishing had begun. You didn't need teams and fancy equipment. All you needed was a computer, an internet connection, and the courage to hit publish. One person alone took a project from brainstorm to production to search engine optimization. And I myself, growing up, got to watch this creator class refine themselves and their skills with each and every upload. I got to watch Niga Higa teach us how to be emo. I got to watch Charlie Is So Cool Like be British. I got to watch Fred be a super divisive subject. I got to watch Ray William Johnson and What the Buck and Philip DeFranco bring traditional formats to the small screen. And I also got to see the internet create its own genres, like gaming and makeup tutorials and story times. Millions of people every single day tuned in to watch these other normal people, people who just decided to broadcast themselves. And why? What made them so special? How did they make YouTube a job? Well, it's because they were creating something of value. The value was in the fact that each vlog, blog, or song was made by one person. You could see, you could name. It was intimate and authentic in a way that couldn't be replicated by those chosen and molded by agencies. The internet creator was a normal person, a little like you, a little like me, being themselves for the world to see. You see, whether it was their passions or their experiences as a result of their identity, it became infinitely more possible for anyone to see themselves represented in media. And the internet creator, they became this friend. Granted, a friend who is terrible at listening, but a friend nonetheless. And each one of their subscribers was a reminder that there is someone out there, a whole community of someones with the same thoughts and questions and fears as you, that you're not alone. And some creators worked hard to cultivate their micro-communities, like the Vlogbrothers and their Nerdfighters. They used their numbers and their influence for good to create a change in the world. You see, they created this charity live stream that just raised $2 million last year. And these micro-communities, they grew and they grew until they weren't so micro anymore. For example, PewDiePie. His subscriber base is 60 million people. That is so many! 60 million. That's the type of number that breaks secrets. So when Forbes released their 2016 list of the top 10 earners on YouTube, it became abundantly obvious that there was millions of dollars to be made online. And so the question shifted from, how is YouTube a job? To, how can I make YouTube my job. How can I become a creator? Well, whether you want your biography topping the New York Times bestseller list or you want to social media influence some people, what you need is people. People to invest in you emotionally and financially. And at a time where 5 billion videos are being watched every single day, it seems like an amazing time to start. Unfortunately, 300 hours of video are being uploaded every single minute. The market is full with everybody wanting the exact same job, so my best piece of advice if you want to succeed on YouTube, it's to start 7 years ago. It sucks because it's starting to seem like online publishing feels more and more like traditional media, the thing it was supposed to replace. It's so easy to feel like it is too late to start, that all of the good ideas, all of the good URLs, they're already taken. It doesn't seem easy. Because the truth is, if you want to make YouTube your job, you're going to have to treat it like a job. YouTube is not just having fun in front of a camera anymore. That's just editing. If you want to make it work, you got to put in the work. So what do you got to do? I recommend you remember who you are. That was a terrible impression. I'm sorry. But what I mean is that you should know your strengths and your passions and make that the basis of your creations. Because the beauty of the internet being so massive is the fact that there are at least 1,000 people who share your interest. So it's only a matter of finding them. And I know it's super tempting to become another vlogger with a drone and jump on trends, but I highly advise you not do that. There is a real shady joke on there. I advise you don't do that, because that renders you completely indistinguishable in an already oversaturated market. And so you'd find yourself making videos that you don't care about for less and less views as trends begin to change. It's terrifying, but it's also kind of pure. Because the machine that built the internet, that built this entire industry and made it possible, is the same thing that is whittling all of the applicants down so that only people who love their job and love working hard to keep their jobs are the ones who get it. Take a look at Gabe Flesher. When he was 8 years old, he realized that he loved politics and hated how it was being reported. He wanted to fix it. And normally, there's not a lot of things an 8-year-old can do to drive change. But fortunately, Gabe was born in the age of democratized publishing. So he started an email newsletter. He stuck with it every single day until 8 years later, he still releases it every single morning to thousands of subscribers. He recently got featured in the New York Times. Take a look at Ricky Pointer. She's a deaf activist, and she wanted to see new media become more accessible. So she led the charge for closed captioning in online video, and in doing so, she pushed massive creators like Tyler Oakley to take action. Take a look at Casey Neistat. He wanted to show what life was like in the day of somebody running a startup. And in doing so, he inspired all of his viewers to work harder. Take a look at me. Significantly less successful than Casey Neistat. I started off as just this nerd who loved trivia and answering questions nobody asked. So I took it to the internet. And ever since I've started, I've gotten to work with Microsoft and Red Bull and Crash Course, the people who helped me finish high school. It's amazing. So, knowing all of this, I ask again, do you want to be a YouTuber? Do you want to be a YouTuber knowing still that it is a real job with real work? Do you want to be a YouTuber knowing that statistically, it is never going to be your job? I hope so. Because let me tell you one last thing about YouTube as a job. It connects you with amazing people who drive you to be better. It rewards you for pursuing your passions. It is exciting and fulfilling, and even though I will be the first one to say that it is almost impossible to succeed, it isn't hard to try. The phone in your pocket probably has everything you need to start. So all that's left is a reason, your reason to hit publish. And may I remind you about all of the people I mentioned before. Their reason wasn't fame or money, It was a perk, but it wasn't the reason. Instead, it was because we had something to say. And in an age where the power to publish to billions of people are at our fingertips, we said it. So, what do you want to say? Thank you.